Hey, this is Christopher Glennon, aka C2, and if you're in the market for a newer used vehicle, give me a call at 619-368-5550. I work at Kearney Mesa Dodge Jeep and Ram and have access to over 500 new vehicles as well as over 600 used. I look forward to hearing from you.
The Pixel Lounge. Located in San Diego, the Pixel Lounge provides you with creator space for content creation for podcasts, photo shoots, interviews, and more. If you're interested, the link for the studio is in the description below. Click it and book your session today. I'm C1.
And I'm C2.
And this is The Christopher Show. Today with special guest host Scott Thompson.
Scott Thompson.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Scott.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, I said I was going to refrain from that dad joke, so I'll leave it alone. I don't know if you saw that episode, but his buddy was on and did the same thing. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being had.
As soon as you said thanks for having me, I'm like,
I was like, we
it.
talked about it before we came to the show, too. I'm like, we're going to introduce Scott, and then I'm sure we're going to say thanks for being on the show. He's going to say thanks for having me, and I know the road this is going down.
This is going.
So I'm like, I'm going to try to refrain, and so the first thing you do is thanks for having me.
You guys, yeah, it's the nature of the beast. It's the Christopher Show. So
you wanted to do a special shout out?
Oh yeah, special shout out to Luis from Blueprints. You can find them on Instagram at _Blueprints. They went ahead and did this acrylic piece for us of the Christopher Show, of our logo, and it's just a beautiful masterpiece to be able to see it. He added the 3D effect of the lettering being on top of it. This way it gives it a little bit more third-dimensional kind of feel to it.
The work they did on that, when I watched them printing it, putting the letters on, making sure it was centered, all of that was just very beautifully done.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's an artwork.
It's incredible.
I love the product.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of colors. And you were in the fashion industry. You were doing design and things like that. So
it looks beautiful. You did a great job.
So thank you very much for that, Luis. Thank you for that. Blueprints, correct?
Yep.
And we really appreciate that. Now let me introduce Scott here. Scott's our guest today. And Scott and I have known each other since 2008 or so.
It's been a minute.
Yeah,
it's been a minute.
This guy was still this tall and shorter than you.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, not...
Now you skyrocket over me. Look at what happened.
So, but you and I met back in the day in the club scene downtown San Diego.
Yep.
We'd hang out. We had friends. We had Jeremy. We had TJ. We had a few in our crew.
Absolutely.
We'd go out, hang out at Flux.
We had a run, man. We had a run, and it was some of the greatest moments of my life, right? When we had this clique of people that we'd run around, youngsters running around and figuring our life out, right? Figuring out what we were going to do. But at that time it was all about the moment, having fun downtown, running around. So we had a run. We had a run.
We definitely did. And the cool thing about our little crew is it was genuine, authentic people. When you're out downtown, when we were in the nightlife, some of us were in the nightlife and things like that, you have a lot of people that are fake. So you have a lot of acquaintances. And it's not that they're fake. It's just that they're not deep relationships.
Yeah.
And so the way you find out who your real friends are is what do we do outside of the nightlife, things like that. And I remember one moment in particular, we're all hanging out one night and we always talk about getting lunch, getting dinner or whatever. And it's you, me, TJ, and Jeremy and Troy standing there. And someone says, we should get lunch sometime soon. And I looked at all four of you and I said, how's Tuesday at noon at La Puerta work?
Yeah.
Jaws drop.
I remember that, yeah.
It was all, what?
This is a hypothetical.
we were having drinks. What are you doing, man? You're messing up the vibe. There's a commitment now.
I remember that.
And so, sure enough, we got together, though, at La Puerta 3 days later, because that was a Saturday night. So Tuesday, we were there for lunch. And, it was, it's one of those things where you take the friendship from the club and you're like, hey, now this has become something legitimate. We're hanging out.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I remember with you is you didn't know what I did for work for like a year. Because I was always out. And same thing with you guys. I was like, I don't know what to do. But then I figured out what you do. You'll notice I'm wearing a shirt today. This is from a clothing line that he was doing when I met him called Saints Sinphony. He and his brother was doing the clothing line. I wound up being a model in one of their fashion shows. Actually, a couple of their fashion shows at that point. And so we worked with Jeremy. Jeremy did our hair. Michael Lee was doing the photography.
And those legends in the game.
Legends of the life. Yeah, it was a dope time, man. Like you said,
it was.
It makes me think of some of those songs that were like really good energy. There's one in particular I'm thinking of that I can't. But The Good Life, about being young. Oh, We're Young. We are. Oh, I better
Oh
not.
my God.
I almost did
You
that.
gotta
We're
sing
gonna
it now.
drop that. I am not singing
No,
it.
which song is that?
We Are Young, right?
Yeah. Fuck.
It's by.
I'm not trying to
Fun,
sing
right?
that.
I can't.
I think so, but that was one of the songs that I just remember.
There was some. I mean, music is one of them things that pushes a whole era, right? Like every decade has its music, and it brings you back. It flashes you back to that time. So yeah, whenever I hear those jams, it brings us back. Like, when was that, man? What year would you say that was?
That was like 2009, 2010-ish, because
Yeah.
I know that after that, you wound up getting married. You dated this wonderful woman that used to hang out with us for a short time, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden, boom, Scott's gone.
Yeah.
Oh shit, did he die? No, he's married.
Exactly. Well, we got pregnant, and that's usually that sped things up a little bit, but obviously turned into an amazing blessing. But eight months into dating, we got pregnant with my son, and it was like instantly, oh man, shit's getting real.
Yeah.
So,
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
This wasn't on purpose. Let me
But-
just say that.
but it's
This is an accident.
yeah, it's a blessing. So thank God, thank God that happened. But yeah, I was out the game at that point, a little more focused, where you're like, okay, I can't be running around downtown no more, just messing around. So
How old were you?
I was 29 when that happened. Had my son at 30.
So that would tell us about when you disappeared. When were you 20? I don't know how old you are now.
Yeah, we can go back. We can actually we can go back
reconstruct
in
it.
time.
When exactly when?
Well, yeah. So
Was that about 14 years
so
ago
that was I'm 41 now, so that was 11 years.
now? Okay.
My son.
So we're looking at about 2012.
But I
and
disappeared
2011.
probably at 29
Okay.
because that's when he, was conceived. So that's when it was like, okay, I got to stack some money.
I know,
I got
right?
a baby
Getting
on the
shit
way.
together.
Shit just got real.
Yeah.
And so did you have an adopted daughter as well?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so too.
Well, basically, when I started dating my wife, she had a 7-year-old, and so I knew out the gate when you're dating someone that has a kid, I was like already kind of serious, because I'm not going to just mess around and the kid starts to call you dad. And so it's like you don't mess with someone unless you're serious. You just don't do that. So out the gate, I was serious. I don't know, something about her just. I was ready to hang up the pimp chalice, as I say to my wife all the time. I put the chalice on the shelf.
And back then, we probably really had a chalice that had the word pimp
Yeah,
on it.
exactly.
Bedazzled.
Something about, I was just like, you know what? I don't know, something about her. So I was real serious out the gate. And, I've raised, her name is Camila, and now she's 20. So she's an adult. And, it's a trip when you raise someone from, such a young age to now they're an adult. The whole thing of just having a kid is pretty trippy because it flies by.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, like they're grown, like you and Chris see too. It's like he can talk smack better than you probably. He can put
It
you in
goes
your
back
place.
and forth a lot, but
He wishes he could
No,
talk
but
it's
smack.
more that you can pull the
But
dad
you're right.
card at any time too.
There's a point when your intelligence has now reached. Obviously, your dad has more wisdom, but as far as 90% of your intelligence to be witty and come back with good comebacks, you got a fighting chance.
I've got a
Yeah,
decent chance.
now he has a chance. When he was younger, I remember him going, "Can't you let me win once?" But you always pull the dad card where you go way further than your kid's willing to go. Like he's talking smack, and all of a sudden you pull out like trump card that beats the crap, and he's like, "Whoa, all right, Dad's, I'm done."
Yeah.
We were in the gym once talking smack, and he just kept going back and forth. And this is when he's like 15. And he looked at me, he went one more, and I said, "Is it too late to get an abortion?" And he looked at me like, "I'm done."
You went there, man. That was
15 years too late.
Damn,
okay?
yeah, it's too late.
Like, all right, fine.
Damn,
I guess I'll keep
that's
you.
hilarious.
Guess you're mine.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, had to keep me.
So,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
about the same time, I mean, C2 and I were going through basketball about the same time that you started going through being a husband and being a father.
Yep.
So I segued out of the nightlife about 2009, I think, actually 2010, because of how much we were doing. So, yeah, you and I we've always kept in touch, though. Like, I've seen you at 24 Hour Fitness working out from time to time.
Yep.
We still hit each other up on Instagram or whatever. Hey, how things going?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show today is to get to catch up with you a little bit, to see what you're doing now, to see how things are going, because you did have Saints Sinphony, which rocked, and you guys did that for a while. I want to mention one of the cool things about the clothing line is D. Schneider. Is that right? From Twisted Sister worked with you guys? Yeah,
well, we had a run when we had this, the clothing brand was a dream. When you're 24 years old, 23 years old, and you have this dream, you want to put your stamp on the world, right? You want to do something epic. You don't want to just do some mediocre shit. You're dreaming, and me and Troy, we were both personal trainers when we were in our 20s, early 20s, but we grew up in a screen printing shop as kids, so we knew how to screen print. And we liked to go to the clubs, we liked to go out, so we just one day started screen printing designs. I had really no skill I was always an artist, always drawing as a kid, but had no real talent, just putting together images in Photoshop. I was hand drawing a lot of stuff and just trying to find some cool stuff that we were into, and then we would screen print them on shirts. And we eventually just kind of came up with this idea of this brand. Tried to find an empty space in the market, right? We saw there was a brand, Affliction is still out, and they made like really edgy, almost gothic style artwork. And we were into that. We liked the dark style artwork. But then we thought it'd be interesting to flip it and put some crystals like say there was a guy getting stabbed at the top of like an old Roman woodcut, and there's blood spilling down some stairs, and we bling out the blood. Like, to me, it was like a yin and yang of like something dark, but also something shiny. And when you wear a t-shirt with a bunch of crystals, it's like you're shining, you're dancing, diamonds dancing.
Oh yeah.
So we tried to find this yin and yang of like really, really kind of, a lot of our early designs were inspired by an artist named Gustave Doré. He's a really dope woodcut artist, like a Mexican woodcut artist. I really liked woodcuts because you can screen print them. They're one colors. Yeah, so we came up with this brand, had this dream, and eventually we worked with a lot of celebs. We worked with Dee Snider. We collaborated with Karl Lagerfeld, who is a damn god.
That.
He is a god in the game. So that's one of my greatest achievements that I can say I did, was collaborating with Karl Lagerfeld.
I don't know if you want me to mention this or not, but didn't somebody come after you had shut Saints Sinphony down so you could do some of the artwork for their clothing line or something to that?
Well, after we shut down, I mean, we had opportunities, people reaching out, but right when we shut our shops, it was the pandemic hit. Really so. And I got hit by a car. I got into a car accident right down the street from the mile of cars from my shop. So I was, pardon my French, but I was fucked.
I remember that. I remember running into you about that time, and I think it had just happened.
Must have been, because I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Unless it was at the gym, but it was like my whole world fell apart, bro. Like you have this dream of starting this brand, and then you always we were killing it for years. We were working with tons of celebs, tons of rappers. Every day we'd wake up and there's a new rapper or a new performer.
They were getting DM'd by these guys. Like, people were hitting them up. It's not like they had to go look for D. D hit you guys up, right?
D, we saw him on he was on the Celebrity Apprentice.
Yeah.
And he was rocking it. And then he reached out to us, and D. Snider is a straight up awesome dude. And he came to our shop, and we ended up making a collaboration line with him. Also, another one was Juvenile.
Yeah.
Troy still kicks it with Juvie all the time. We had another signature line. We started doing these like signature lines with these artists where we would kind of take lyrics from their songs and like put them into artistic, like there are a lot of one-liners, of good lyrics, or and then we'd sell to a lot of their fan base. But yeah,
let me say this as an observer. One, I had a lot of respect for you guys because I watched the evolution. Like, I knew you guys before you had D and all those guys.
Yeah.
Like, I knew you guys when you were still building.
Yeah.
And so to watch your evolution fascinated me over the years. I went to Magic with you guys.
Yeah. You were there the whole time, man.
And I mean, that was an adventure. It was a lot of fun, man, to watch you guys as you grew and as you evolved. And here's the other thing about Troy and Scott, both of them. These are two of the nicest guys, the most genuine people you'll ever meet. Like, that was one of the things.
He's lying.
I
appreciate it.
He's at least nice to me. I mean, I don't know how you are to everybody else.
I'm pretty nice.
But they're two of the most genuine guys. So they're two people that, I mean, you see a lot of people that don't necessarily want people to succeed, or they're hating in the background. You know what I mean? But I've always wanted people to succeed. But the beautiful thing was you guys worked so hard and you were so passionate about it and so driven that I was like, man, I can't wait to watch them evolve and grow. And sure enough, I got to watch it in real time as it was happening. Yeah. And that to me is a privilege to get to see that.
Yeah, we had a run, you know, we got to travel around the world. We went to tons of, you know, we went to London, Berlin. We had, you know, we were going to open a flagship in Tokyo, but that's when the tsunami hit. So I was in Miami at the time when the tsunami hit, and we were setting up deals to open the shop, and we were going to make this massive cathedral. It was going to look like, I don't know, like an old school cathedral with our gear in it, and it was going to be like our first international showroom shop. It was legendary. We had a distribution company with a company in Japan, and right when that tsunami hit, boom, that went bye-bye, because their number one thing was not buying expensive clothing. So that, to be honest, was, I don't know if it was the beginning of the decline, but sales were just continually skyrocketing. And then there was this point where it leveled out and then starts to dip. Sales are dipping. Your overhead is higher because now you have a huge factory with tons of employees, more overhead, more expenses. So, you know, going through the whole process was a huge learning experience, but we got to do some epic stuff, you know?
Well, and the other thing that happened from that is obviously Troy has November Rain now.
Yep.
And now you have DreamVision that you're doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if are you involved in November Rain with him on that?
Yeah, I help him out with some stuff. I mean, but Troy was not done with fashion like I was. Troy wanted to keep rolling with it. So after I had my accident, so I got into this car accident, and I'm just like rethinking my whole life, like basically down to no money. Figuring shit out, like, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, when you're a fashion designer, dude, it's not like you can go get another job as a fashion designer. Actually, I did interview with a huge fashion designer. My last toss at fashion was I was interviewed by Mike Amiri.
That's the one I remember hearing about.
Yeah. Mike Amiri has been killing the game, but he makes stuff similar to what Saints Sinphony was. He crystallizes shirts. It's very expensive. He's killing the game. I would say he did it the right way. If you watch the evolution of his brand, how he did it in a tasteful manner where not everything's crystallized. He did it exactly right. And he also, like, he always kept it top tier, luxury-wise, using the top. But I interviewed with Mike, and that was my last, to do graphic work for him. So
I could see how that goes together just based on what I know from your experience. And then I actually own an Amiri belt. It's like the only nice belt that I own. It's so nice. But the cool thing is it doesn't say Amiri. It's got the A and the M overlay, and it looks kind of spider webbish, and it's really nice. I love the design. I mean, and that was one of the things when I heard that you'd interviewed with him, I was like, damn, that's impressive. I mean, to get to interview on that level.
He's at the top. He's literally, he's setting the trends for fashion. So even to be in that building, and like, you know, it was cool to be like, hey, at least they looked at my portfolio and they were like, okay, we're going to let you in as a contender. Yeah. You know, I did not get that job, but dude, straight up, I had that interview a week out of a concussion. So I was mentally, my mind I could barely order at Starbucks, dude. I was going to order, like, you know, my drink, and I'd forget how to say Splenda. So
I'm almost certain that's when I ran into you, because I remember you describing some of that in the moment that we met, and it's somewhere around that time. So
yeah. So I went for it because it was such a good opportunity. Yeah. But I didn't say I just got out of a car accident, but I was wrecked, and I remember, like, I would be talking to people, and they would talk to me and be like, "Oh, nothing's wrong." Like, people they wouldn't know what I was going through in my mind. But having a concussion of that magnitude, like, I got hit square up by a truck at, I don't know, 40, 50 miles an hour, blasted me. Like, the last thing I saw, I'm looking to my left and I see the grill. and then kaboom. And then I wake up and my car is in a different location. But the week after, like I said, I had this interview and I had to go for it. So I think if they knew that, they might have thought slightly different. Like, I don't know how good I performed in that interview, but I do remember, like, I had a hard time speaking or communicating or even thinking for a year after that accident.
So let's go from the clothing line, the fashion stuff, to now you're doing DreamVision. So how did you segue from that with the concussion and Amiri to DreamVision? What happened between those?
Well, I've always been an artist, bro. Everything I ever wanted to be was an artist. You know, money for me is important. We need money. Everybody wants to ball out of control and live a great life, right? But what's more important to me is just being creative and creating for people. And when I did the clothing, I got to do what I wanted for a living. I got to make my designs, and then people would like some and not like others, not other designs, but I got to be creative. And one thing I did love when I had the clothing company, I love to create these worlds. I would design a line, dress a human in the outfit, and then create a character, right? This badass dude. You're creating this character, this Christopher Glendon type character. But you're creating this facade. You know, fashion and film are hand in hand, because you're almost, dude, you know what fashion is? It's like you're playing dress up. Like, people, you wanna look like a cowboy? It's like Halloween.
Dude, that was some of the coolest thing about putting your clothes on, like when I would do the fashion shows, is it transforms you. Like, and I've told him, I'm like, dude, you could do this stuff. What happens is you literally, sometimes the clothes does make the man, literally, like they talk about the clothes making the man, but it makes your attitude, it makes the way you carry yourself. I carried myself confidently wearing your stuff because I could pull it off, you know what I mean? I was like, damn, this shit makes me look dope. And then in turn, I was like, nah, I look dope. Like, you know, you
become a character. You become you know, when you're looking good. There's a great line by Dion, one of my favorites. He goes, when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you play good. When you play good, they pay good.
I love Dion, man.
Dion,
he's one of my favorite coaches.
And this is back when he was Neon Dion, and like, but when you put on something and you look good, it really does shape the world around you, you know? So that's the cool thing about it. And so to segue into fashion or into film, you know, I just always loved to have the camera, because then I was capturing this movie that I created with the clothing and the character. And now, you know, the last couple of years I've been going hard with it, just elevating my skill set, and that's all I do now. So, you know, I do a lot of commercial stuff, but my real passion is in film making. So, but once again, to get paid to do movies, it's a lot of just, that's for your passion out of your own pocket. But DreamVision is really my company that, you know, the idea of the names spawned from, you know, helping entrepreneurs and dreamers to see the vision.
And that's what I was about to ask, is so you create these videos. What's the purpose of these videos? What is the incentive behind creating them? Like, what are you trying to do with the companies that you're representing?
Well,
because I saw you have a huge client list from what I saw.
Yeah, I've worked with some big brands, and the idea is literally like, you know, content is king now, you know, but have you ever looked at someone on the internet and you feel like you know them? It's because you've watched so many videos of them. I've rolled up on people that I've watched a lot of videos of, and it startles them because I feel like I know him, but they don't know me.
Well, that's right? Like C2. People think they know him because of how much I posted about him for the last 15 years. Like, they walk, oh, hey, C2, nice to finally meet you after 15 years.
But that's the same. I feel like I know you, bro, because he's posted so much. But this is like the first time we've actually had a hard conversation. But I seriously have seen your whole life. You know what I'm saying?
He knows your basketball journey, like we saw.
It's the oddest thing, because even growing up, I remember back when I was in high school, I had just finished getting a haircut. I'm walking downtown to go meet my dad at, what was it, American Junkie, was it?
Oh, yeah, American Junkie.
I'm walking down. I didn't have my headphones, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to just play my music on my phone, just like quiet enough that I think I can only hear it. Mm-hmm. So I'm walking down. I finally meet up with my dad, and who do we end up?
We ran into Matt. He used to be head of security at Stingaree, and he was working at American Junkie, I think, as general manager at that point. And so he goes, hey, I just saw C2 playing Fetty Wap, I'm pretty sure, down the road.
That's hilarious.
I was like 13 or 14 at the time, and it was just the wildest thing, though, to be walking downtown, finally meet up with my dad. Or did you text me while I was walking?
I was like, hey, you must be over by American Junkie already, because Matt just texted me saying he saw you. So, yeah.
But what's crazy about that exact concept is that if we can just record ourselves being ourselves and doing what we love to do, and you put it on the internet, you're going to reach more people that you want to connect with. And we're just, this is not rocket science. Everybody knows this. So DreamVision, my company, focuses on basically helping to record people. And I always try to show them if they have a particular goal of who they're trying to show themselves as. Sometimes people want to hide their real. You don't want to tell everybody everything about yourself, but the idea is that if you want to do something, right, it's about, putting more of that into the universe, more of that into the world on the internet. And so you can grow your audience, grow your channel, grow your network with the internet. You can sell a ton of crap on the internet, right? Sorry, are we not losing?
You're fine. You're allowed to say
profanity.
No, we're allowed to cuss. It's just
I was about to say I'm the worst.
No. You're fine. Trust me. I've dropped the F-bomb, so we're good. We're good.
Just put the beep over like half my.
No, I like leaving them in.
spiel.
This way, it gives someone a shock factor for a moment.
Not only that, I mean, people look so down on cursing in general, and the thing is that it limits you as a person. Like if you're from New York, you're hearing the F-bomb all the time from people with that kind of language, and it's just being more your authentic self. I mean, with us, we curse all the time to each other, kind of thing. And,
Well, and it's because I always say curse words are man-made, not God-made. So man determines, and if you want evidence of that, look at different languages. They have different curse words. If they were God-made, wouldn't they all be? It'd be like, here's the list. I gave you the 10 Commandments, and now I'm going to give you the list of the swear words.
Yeah, you're going to get into a debate over that. But I agree with you.
Yeah.
But yes, some people are going to be like,
that, and let's talk about you talked about because I watched your video on your website.
Yeah.
You talk about trust, and that as a content creator, you have to have trust with your audience. And I find that I trust people more when they let one slide, because I know that they're not perfectly talking like.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a level of authenticity, and right now, authenticity is the new wave, because people, the polished look, rolling up in a Lamborghini in your pristine video, that's all old news. People want real, authentic conversations.
Yeah.
But then again, you're never going to please everyone, because people are going to disagree with a lot of things, So, but all you can do is, I feel like if you keep it 100 and you're honest and you're a good person, then they'll see you for what. Hey, it's not a bad guy. If you just
and everything's in moderation, right? So even like your swear words should be in moderation, especially when you're doing a show like this, because of your audience and because of who's listening. So you can drop them, just don't make every other word.
No,
vulgarity.
absolutely.
So,
I'm a sailor when it comes to that.
We're both sailors. Like we may not have sailed the 7 seas, but
we talk like we do.
So yeah, I agree with you. But yeah, so with DreamVision, you created that. It's content moderation. It's building trust with the audience. It's helping these brands establish themselves and decide who they want to be. It's video creation to help get that message across.
Yeah.
I think that you even mentioned something earlier about a regular. With the strategy, isn't it a regular occurrence for how often you should put something out?
So I have a service called the DreamVision Method, which is basically catering towards content where it's consistently posted. And obviously the philosophy is that if you have a business and you're not posting every day, your customers are on the feed every day. Even if you don't have 1 million followers, if it's the same concept as driving by the same billboard every day. I don't remember it on the first 6 drives. The 7th one, I start to notice it. You have to hammer in your message with the way that the world is now, and the attention the attention spans are shorter. Repetition is how you build a brand. If every day you walk into a ice cream shop and you get the bombest ice cream and it's consistent every day, you will start to say that this ice cream shop is bomb. Every time I go in there, it's amazing. There's no deviation. So if you are speaking the same thing over and over, preaching a message talking about serving a customer base, because a business is just helping someone solve a problem. If you do that every single day, people are going to start to trust you a little bit, right? And it's just based off of repetition. So my method, the 5-step method, is that how do you post content every day? It's hard work when you're making quality.
I'm thinking about that when I do that with this podcast. I'm like, man.
And I'm an editor, so I know I've spent 60 hours on an edit. Easy. I've made things that are like so much time put into it. So I've learned, like, if you're trying to do quality, because now the competition is fierce. Yeah. Everybody's got amazing edited videos. So how do you do that? Well, there is a way, and the answer is to create some form of template or some form of batch processing. Like, if you try to custom edit every video, you're going to need a team of editors to do that. If you don't have the budget to pay for a team of editors that are talented, you have to create templates that are good. Because now each video is amazing. There are repetitious elements, right? Like the titles and things like that. But that also starts to create a brand identity. So, as someone who's built the Saints Sinphony, my brand, and I've worked with other people building their brands, I've learned, the importance of building. Every human being who has a channel should have a brand identity. You should have a color scheme. You should have fonts that you use, because that's just good design. It's good communication. When you start to throw different fonts on every single thing, it starts to be like, well, what are you? Like serif says a certain thing about you, and then you have handwritten font says another thing. Like the aesthetics are important.
Well, and that's like me. I try to pick something that looks professional, clean. Yeah. It's not cursive. It's not handwritten. It's not script. And then we start our show with the I'm C1 and I'm C2 and the clinking of the glasses, because that gives you, it's a hook. It's like, okay, absolutely. That's something I hear every time I see one of their shows. So I think about that as we develop our podcast. And I know we talked about niches earlier with podcasts and things like that, trying to find what is our niche. And so for him and me, it's our father-son conversations. It's what we've done over the years. Yeah. This is the same conversation kind of stuff we used to have in the car. Like, for instance, you're talking about all the stuff you've done to be successful and how driven you are. He and I are going to have conversations about this later where I go, hey, look at Scott and the example that he laid out for you today where, he talks about the way he was driven with Saints Sinphony. He was doing his passion. He found what he loved, and he was successful at it, and he enjoyed going to work every day. Like, that's the kind of stuff you want for life. And so as a father and son podcast...
I guess we're having that talk now instead.
We are.
Yeah, right.
And then we'll discuss it more later.
Yeah.
But so we took those conversations from the car and brought them to the table so that we could kind of do that. And so...
Yeah. I think that it's just, you have to understand when you're building any product. This is a product. The Christopher Show is a product. And it isn't about you. That's what you have to understand. It's about the people who are listening, because they're going to get some nuggets from your guys' experience, right? I feel like every artist, you have to help people no matter what you do. Sometimes people, like in the artist world, people say, do what you love, don't listen to anybody else. You don't understand. We're on this planet to help each other. If you've missed that, it's not about you. Yep. Like even when I design and I work a 15-hour day because I want to make something amazing, the idea is to make something that someone else maybe connects with. Like artists like to be validated. If I work for 30 hours on a project and then no one presses the like button, it hits me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, God damn, I worked for 30 hours editing this video and nobody liked it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It makes me feel, you have to keep with the fundamentals is that as an artist or whatever product you're selling, you have to provide a service. And if you give, you get. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the philosophy of life. The more you bless, the more success.
Yeah.
So
this is his dad stuff coming in now.
Yeah, but
that's knowledge and wisdom. And we were talking about wisdom earlier. This is, it's wisdom of the ages.
It's a law of nature, bro. It literally, if you give first, if a guy walks into a job you have and you right out the gate, you're not thinking about selling him something. You're like, how can I help this dude? How can I help him? What can I help you with? He's going to be like, dude, I'm going to buy something from you. It's like the law of reciprocity. Mm-hmm. They got to give you something back. You just gave me, you just walked in, shined my shoes, you hooked me up, you gave me a pep talk. Like, it's important,
And I listen to Audible books when I work out, and that's like I was listening to, I can't remember who it is at the moment. I listen to so many people, but they were talking about the people that they really liked are it was Napoleon Hill. And I don't know if you know who Napoleon Hill was.
Oh, yeah. Come on now. He's a legend.
Exactly. The Tony Robbins, before Tony Robbins, he interviewed the 500 people.
What is Napoleon Hill? It's one of my favorite books on getting Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich.
Legendary.
So do you know the story about him? Basically, Andrew Carnegie
I listened.
commissioned him.
You just finished one, and I already was ahead of you on that one.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. It was a great series.
A good one.
And so he talks about, hey, when you do things for people, even though it's about reciprocity, don't do things for people looking to get something back. Do things for people because that is the nature of life.
Well,
give, and it comes back to you. The universe will find a way to balance it.
Yeah, you're slipping. I mean, you want something, but if you do it with that purpose, it's not the form. There's a Jay-Z line. He says the purest form of giving is anonymous, from anonymous.
Yeah.
So I like that line. It's basically like if you really want to give someone a gift, don't give the homeless guy a $500 bill in front of people on Instagram.
Yeah.
Well,
no, exactly. And I did something. I didn't post it on Instagram. I didn't do nothing like that. But basically, me and my friend, we made a bunch of sandwiches and just went around downtown handing them out for Christmas, just because we wanted to. And it was more about. It was more about getting to help people in a situation where they don't really have a say in being in that situation.
I would say if you posted that, the purpose would but if you did, I wouldn't have taken it wrong. It's almost like saying, "Hey, help your brother out. I'm not trying to gain, but like I'm just showing what I'm trying to do." But someone might twist it and like, "Oh, you posted it."
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
now you lost the blessing that you were supposed to get.
But that was dope, man. Good job, man.
We didn't want any kind of attention from it. It was more of just that we wanted to be able to go do it for our own knowledge that we're trying to help people out in situations like that.
But I'm telling you, the more people you bless, the more success. So the man upstairs, he's paying attention.
Yep.
And you know what I'm saying? The more kindness things you can do like that, you don't need 500 likes on Instagram to get the blessing. If you can sleep at night knowing you helped a lot of people, it's coming at you. You know? I mean, I believe in that.
Well, and let me say this. I didn't learn that lesson from Napoleon Hill. I love what Napoleon Hill said, but I learned that lesson when I was a kid. I used to do favors, and when I do a favor, it's a legitimate favor. I don't expect anything in return. I don't care, whatever. But part of that stems from when I was a child. I was about 16, and I won't say which family member, but basically someone needed something and someone else was asking for them. And I'm like, well, I was swamped in high school. I mean, I was in all sorts of clubs. I was in sports. I was in choir. More than nerd, dude. I was athletic too, and I looked good.
Damn.
Anyway.
Killing them.
So I was doing all this stuff to try to graduate, figure out where I was going for college and things like that. And they asked if I could help. And I said, I really don't have time this week. And I had a full-time job that I was doing 30 to 40 hours a week. And so when they asked, I was like, I really don't have time. Like, I'd love to squeeze it in to be able to help. And they go, well, remember that when you need something. And that always stuck in my head because my thought was, when I do favors, I'm not doing something because I need something back. I'm doing something because I genuinely am giving of myself. And it's like, hey, I've got time. Let me go ahead and help you. I mean, anything where you're picking someone up from the airport, you're helping someone move or whatever, it's the little things that you do to help people along the way. But that always stuck in my mind. I'm like, I'm never going to make somebody feel like that when I do a favor for them. And I never want them thinking I owe them when I walk away.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
yeah.
So with that, I know that we've been talking for a while. We've talked about DreamVision, Saints Sinphony, November Rain. I want to thank you for being on the show today. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for driving over. Do you have any questions for Scott before we wrap up that you want to know? That
Not off the top of my head, no.
All right. Well, with that then, I'm C1.
I'm C2.
And this is Scott Thompson.
Scott Thompson.
Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for watching.
Nice. Good
Cut.
job. Good job.
The Merchant Card Group. If your business needs payment processing services, hit me up and I'll give you a referral code. With my referral code, send them your statement, and if they can't beat your current cost, they will give you $250. That's how confident they are that they can beat your cost. You can reach me at CA Glennon on Instagram or at 619-249-9328.